anybody that is a technocrat that can sit there and say, oh yeah, artificial intelligence, eventually it's going to extinct humanity. There will be no human beings. And they talk about this universal income because they plan on killing us. So that's why they're so fine. They're not thinking, oh yeah, we can really handle, this universal income and giving people all the money that they need and require. I don't really, when I think about it, it makes me wonder if they're not really concerned about that because they know that their plans are to extinct, to genocide us, or to carry out eugenics upon our society, to kill us off, to genocide us, like they did the Jews, like a Holocaust. So that might be why they think this idea of universal basic income is a good idea, because their plans are that there's not going to be very many human beings around. The small pool of human beings that they have chosen to stay alive, they will enjoy the universal basic income, ultimately, in the end, after the culling has taken place, that they plan to carry out. Okay, so that's why this man here, more lawyers would be called, more telegrams would be sent, more clever maneuvering with the State Department would be undertaken, not to stop DHMOG from its genocidal partnership with the Third Reich, but to ensure that the proceeds and the profits remained with IBM New York. See, the things that really mattered to them, or to him, to Watson, or to IBM. No matter who won, IBM would prosper. Business was its middle name. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and move on to chapter 2. This chapter 2 is called the IBM hyphen Hitler intersection. And what I'm going to read here in this book is, I'll go ahead and read it and then I'll make the comment here. It says, on January 30th, 1933, the world awoke to a frightening new reality. Adolf Hitler had suddenly become leader of Germany. The Hitlerites, dressed in a spectrum of uniforms from, I think it's gaucho, maybe gaucho, or to ominous, paraded, motored, and bicycled through Berlin in defiant celebration. Hanging from trucks and stomping through the squares, arms outstretched and often swaggering in song, the Nazis were jubilant. Their historic moment, fraught with emotional expectation and revenge and victory against all adversaries. Their long-awaited decisive moment had arrived. From this instant, the world would never be the same. Quickly, Hitler's Nazi moved to take over the entire government and virtually all aspects of German commerce, society, and culture. The Führer wanted an Aryan Germany to dominate all Europe, with a master race subjugating all non-Aryans. For Jews, Hitler had a special plan. Listen to this right here. This is a point that I wanted to highlight here. For Jews, Hitler had a special plan. Total destruction. There were no secrets in Hitler's vision. Okay, now what I just stated here, like what Elon Musk has said, that eventually humanity will be extinct. And there was one video even where he said, it's kind of like you have an ant on an ant hill on an ant farm or something like that. He says there might be like a bulldozer that goes and removes the anthill, or the dirt, the sand, the anthill that the ant is on. And because the ant is in the way, he says it's nothing personal, but the ant is going to be removed as well. The ant's going to be, destroyed or killed as well. Removed, destroyed, killed, along with the anthill, the ant farm, the anthill, by the bulldozer. And what he was basically saying is what they had planned for, with the new technologies, with AI and the robotics, the transhumanism, all of that, Palantir, that is the bulldozer and we are the little ants on the anthill. Okay, so that was an example. And as stated here, there's nothing hidden. There's nothing secret about it. They just lay it out. But one thing that we have to remember about a comment like that is that, like Elon Musk, he was raised from in an Illuminati family. That's a satanic cult. And from what I understand, there was the practice of witchcraft in his home, from his mother, who's a witch. And with the Luciferian cult, like the Freemasons, the Illuminati, what they do is it's just part of what they do, part of their, I guess, their protocol. They will warn you ahead of time, and then they'll carry out the plan, then they'll carry out the action. So I kind of see that as possibly an action like that, like he's warning us ahead of time. You guys are going to be, when artificial intelligence comes along, when our plan comes into play, then just understand that you guys are going to be snuffed out. You're going to be killed. It's nothing personal. It's just you're in the way, and this is our plan, and this is what we want. We want the New World Order. Okay, so it's this right here reminded me of that. For Jews, Hitler had a special plan, total destruction. There were no secrets in Hitler's vision. He broadcast them loudly to the world, just like they have. They exploited as front page headlines in every major city, on every radio network, in weekly cinema newsreels. Ironically, Hitler's fascism resonated with certain men of great vision, such as Henry Ford. Another who found Hitlerism compelling was Thomas J. Watson, president of America's most prestigious companies. Here it is, International Business Machines. That's IBM. Okay. So, like I said, we see this type of announcement that has come through the technocrats unashamedly. They're not hiding it. They have laid it out. They've told us. They've warned us what they're doing. They've warned us what's coming. And fortunately, people are listening and they're taking them serious. If they said they're going to do it, then we must understand that's what it's going to play out. They're trying to establish the New World Order, and when the New World Order is here, there's going to be another Holocaust. Okay, when the Antichrist, when the beast system is fully implemented, there's going to be another Holocaust. People are going to be dying. Many, many, many people are going to be dying. Okay, so, and also what we need to understand is, as he stated, for the Jews, Hitler had a special plan, total destruction. Okay, so what we need to understand is that humanity is, in this scenario that we're dealing with, humanity is the Jews. Also, the job market. You know how they said that the robotics is going to replace the human beings on the job market. So people are not going to be, they're not going to have jobs. And okay, so I'm going to go ahead and flip over to the next page, page 24. All right, now this little piece here that I'm going to read, it kind of explains how everything started with IBM. It kind of gives like a little bit of a background. This is how IBM began, basically. It all began decades before. So it jumps from talking about the concentration camps and Hitler's desire for the Jews, and then it takes us back to the very beginning of how it all started for IBM. Okay, and it all began decades before in New York during the last gasp of the 19th century, and at a time when America's rapid industrial growth spurred inventions to automate virtually every manual task. Swells of immigrants came to American shores, to labor long days, but some dreamed of better ways to be industrious, or at least a faster and cheaper way. Contraptions, mechanizations, and patent gadgets were everywhere, turning wheels, cranking cogs, and saving steps to workshops and factories. The so-called Second Industrial Revolution, powered by electricity, was in full swing. So the electricity was kind of well, it was all powered by electricity. That's what it says. It was in full swing. Okay, turn of the century America, a confluence of massive commerce and clickety-clack industrial ingenuity was a perfect moment for the birthplace of the most powerful corporation the world has ever seen, IBM. Okay, IBM was born German. So basically, the person that created IBM, his name was, the last name was Hollerith. He was German. I think it was Hermann Hollerith, if I'm remembering correctly. Okay, IBM was born German. Its technology was originally created for only one reason: to count people as they had never been counted before. This is an important point here: as never been counted before. Okay, with a magical ability to identify and qualify. Before long, IBM technology demonstrated it could do more than just count people or things. It could compute. That is, the technology could record data, process it, retrieve it, analyze it, and automatically answer pointed questions. Moments of mechanicized bustle could now accomplish what would be an impossibility of paper and pencil calculation for any mortal man. So what it's basically saying was this computing power that the Hollerith equipment had far surpassed what pencil and paper could do at that time. So, and it's kind of like what they're saying about AI, that, what everybody is raving about AI over, like how, how it's going to cut down time and manpower of any research that would be done. It produces higher volumes than what a human being could produce. So that's why when I read some of these things, I thought that's exactly what we see going on. With like with AI, and it's kind of the same concept. It's the same repeat. It's kind of like history's repeating itself is what it is. So I saw these similar patterns, and I thought, what, I need to really share this book. Okay, there it is. Hermann Hollerith invented IBM. Okay, so, and the point I wanted to make is only AI can do what is humanly impossible. Okay, that's what they're saying about AI, and even like Palantir. These forms of technology can do what is humanly impossible. They're doing impossible things when you compare it to humanity. Okay, now what I wanted to do at this point, I'm going to stop with reading this book, and what I wanted to do at this point is I'm going to share some pieces of information that has been taken, like I said, from the evil twins of technocracy and transhumanism. And I'm going to read just a few little pages. I made a few copies of some pages of information, and I think that this information will complement what I just read, and that's why I kind of want to pull some information to give us some depth of perspective about what we're dealing with. I think that this complements it in that way. It brings depth to what we're dealing with. It gives us some, a little bit further perspective on the matter and what is actually taking place. So this is regarding something that's called CODES, CODES, and it's referred to as Coalition for Digital Environmental Sustainability. This is taken from page 186 and I believe 187 in that book. And it says, although there is a considerable amount of written material on CODES, which is what I just mentioned, that Coalition for Digital Environmental Sustainability, that can be read online, I transcribed for you portions of a telling video in which several of its leaders described the purpose and vision of the coalition. So the whole reason behind them using and making this, what they refer to as codes. Okay, so, and the first speaker I quote is Dirk Messner of the German Environment Agency. Okay, and then this is what Mr. Messner said. There are two major transformations which are characterizing our age and our century. The sustainability transformation on the one hand side, and on the other hand side, the digital AI-driven machine learning transformation towards a new technical infrastructure of all our societies. If we look at the SDGs, we can see that in this system of sustainability goals, which we discussed and decided upon in 2015, only 6 years ago, there is no digital dynamic, there is no digital transformation. So we have to learn to bring this together. We as codes, as an alliance of stakeholders from the academic field, international organizations, actors from the private sector, non-governmental organizations, we are arguing that if we don't bring these two mega trends together, we will not achieve sustainable development in the digital age. Okay. The other speaker I quote is the UNEP's, his name is David Jensen. David Jensen. Okay. Let's see something here. Okay, it says, what is our vision? One of the big visions for codes is integrate environmental sustainability, data, values, and goals directly into the codes of the digital economy. This means into platforms, the applications and the algorithms that currently underpin all of the digital transactions in the economy. If we can do this, we can potentially speed and scale environmentally sustainable products, behaviors, and lifestyles to a level like never achieved in human history. See, doesn't that sound like what I just read in that book? They were achieving what had not been, and actually what it was never, they were never capable of achieving through human effort. So they're bringing in this technology to far surpass the abilities of humanity. So that's why they tote this so much. Okay, this is going to require active collaboration and collective action at a planetary scale. And that's what CODES is hoping to broker: collaboration across private sector, public sector, academia, civil society is going to be fundamentally necessary to take this big vision forward. CODES activates, if successful, will literally double all digital storage capacity on the planet. And that's probably why they have to build all the data centers in order to achieve all this. And okay, now the conclusion to this, it says, CODES wants to incorporate all of the digital transactions in the economy in order to drive behaviors. See, that's scary. When they want to drive behaviors, human behaviors, and it says lifestyles, to a level never before achieved in human history. It just is clearly seen that they just really want to tamper with our lives, with humanity and human beings' life. See, and if they want to live like this, that's fine for them, but they should not impose that on the rest of society, I believe. I think that people should have a choice. If that's what they want to do, that's their choice. Well, there should maybe be a place for them to do that or whatever. I personally don't think so, but I mean, if we have to go there and at least at minimum separate what they want to live in and let humanity live the normal life that we want to live. Okay, and then again, this is always the sole aim of digitalization. Data is collected in order to control the object from which data was collected, always. I'm going to read that again. Data is collected in order to control the object from which data was collected. And it says always. Those addicted to digitizing never lose sight of or deviate from that single-minded goal. Yes, I said that in the opening of this chapter, and I repeat it in the closing. For we must remember that in the mind of the technocrat, collecting data about anything or anyone, about anything and everyone, is a habitual practice and a downright obsession. See? That totally makes sense, doesn't it? Okay, in the mind of the technocrat, collecting data about anything and anyone, about everything and everyone, right here, it is a habitual practice and a downright obsession. So, I mean, we can clearly see that they are really trying to impose their fantasies, their obsession, things that consume them on the rest of society. And that's just, it's just not right. I just don't think that, that it's kind of like they're force feeding this upon us, and we don't want it, but they're trying to force feed it upon us. So that's why I'm sharing this information, because I think that people need to really know what we're stepping into. And then for those of us who don't agree with it, we need to resist it and expose it every inch of the way, every way that we can. Okay, the acceleration and digitalization in the world and the magnitude of digitalization of the world are stunning megatrends. Rapid advances in good technology, computing power, AI, and high-speed data transmission have been utilized to generate a whole new bad paradigm of technocratic control. So, and I just put down technocratic control is the key word. Technocratic control is the key word. Not all forms of control are bad. Sometimes you have to take charge of certain situations. But in this situation, it's technocratic control is not a good thing. So I'm also going to share a little bit here from, this is Joe Allen's book, Dark Aeon. This is page 82. And so I wanted to, well, I'm going to be sharing this in the next segment that I record. I'm going to go ahead and end with this. This is part 1 of the video. I'm going to be also creating a part 2, and I'm going to share a little bit here from this, because it does complement all of this that I have shared for today. So what I wanted to remind all of you is, if you could please like and subscribe to the video. And I'm going to be creating a part 2 of this video, so definitely look for the part 2 of this video. And what I wanted to say, though, is, thank you. I'm going to be in the next video giving a little bit of ray of hope, in that video, where although we're being confronted with, some pretty difficult and challenging and new things that we're being confronted with, we also do have God that is with us and for us and with us, and we're never alone. God is always, we can always anchor into our relationship with the Lord. So I'm going to be sharing a little bit regarding that as well on the part 2 video. So, but for the time being, if I'd like to say thank you for joining me at Deanna's studio. And I also wanted to remind you to please, go ahead and like and subscribe to my channel, to Deanna's studio. Thank you so much, and do look for that part 2 of the book club. Thank you.